That being said, I know that you got a whole bunch of slides ready for us. And this is really great because I think a lot of times I just want the general public to get exposed to sort of, so what does a normal skin look like, first of all? And then let's look at perhaps a melanoma in situ, that's a stage 0 disease. And then we get to melanoma invasive. And what is, the most important thing is ulceration, is it breast cell thickness? And maybe you can even walk us through some of those fine details. Do
Sure.
you have any slides ready at this point?
I do. I can share my screen and show you.
All right, that's wonderful.
All right. Can you see that okay?
Yeah. So, all right, take it away.
All right, perfect. So what we've done here, these are were glass slides. This is exactly what I see under the microscope, but we actually have a special machine that's able to scan them and digitize them. And then we can pull them up to show them more easily and with a lot more clarity. So most of the time I don't use the computer to do my actual daily diagnosis, although some pathologists do, and we'll probably see more of that in the future. But I still use my trusty old regular microscope. But for teaching, it works really great to have a digital slide. So this is a piece of normal skin, relatively normal. I pulled from another case just for the sake of showing you. So let me show you the layers. First, let me orient you. You may think this looks nothing like what my skin looks like if I look down at my hand or my arm. And what we're seeing is actually imagine a little punch or a little plug cut out of the skin that takes all the layers. And then we're cutting it straight down from top to bottom. And like, that's what you're seeing, is you're seeing it from top to bottom. So up here is the very top layer, what would be on the surface. When you touch your skin and if you rub your skin, what you're rubbing is this layer right here, okay? That's the very top layer, the epidermis. And then down here underneath it, this pink layer is called the dermis, and it's the layer that kind of supports the epidermis and keeps the epidermis intact. The epidermis's job is to kind of keep everything else out of your body. It's a watertight barrier when it's functioning normally, and it keeps out germs and water and all sorts of chemicals, the elements, everything else around you. The dermis supports the epidermis, and then down below that is we have a layer of fat, this white layer at the bottom. That's called the subcutis. Or some people say the hypodermis, like you may have heard of a hypodermic needle. I usually call it subcutis, but some people call it hypodermis. But any case, that's the layer of fat that's down below. And then way down below that, we don't see it on this slide, would be like the skeletal muscle and then the bone if we were going all the way down. But here, we're just going to focus on the skin today. So let's go in for a closer look. This is the epidermis up here, this purple layer, okay? And again, all of these cells, these are called keratinocytes, and their job is to hold on really tightly to each other and to keep the epidermis intact. So they're very strong. That's why if you rub your skin, it doesn't fall apart because they're all interconnected like a meshwork, with big cables of keratin protein running inside of them. You've probably heard about keratin. Keratin is the stuff that makes up the middle, the center contents of all these cells. These big purple dots in the middle are the nuclei. That's where the DNA is, and that controls all the functions of the cell. And then this pink, beautiful layer on top that looks like a little woven together basket. That's the top layer of the epidermis called the stratum corneum. That is made of keratin that's dead. Normally, it's supposed to be dead. That's the skin. Normally, the cells start down here, they grow up and go to the top, and then they undergo a program type of death that leaves behind this skeleton of keratin. And that's when you get flaky, dry skin and the dead skin flakes fall off. That's what's falling off, these loose bits of keratin up here. So this is normal. Now, you might wonder, where are the melanocytes? Well, the melanocytes are down in here. At first glance, you might notice these little brown cells at the bottom. Those are actually, surprisingly, not the melanocytes. They are cells that have melanin in them, but these are actually keratinocytes, the cells that make up the epidermis. The melanocytes are actually these little small, slightly darker cells in here. So melanocytes' job is to actually create melanin pigment, and that melanin is what gives our skin its color. It helps protect the skin from ultraviolet light to some extent. But the melanin is made by melanocytes, but is actually mostly stored in the neighboring keratinocytes. It makes like a little protective umbrella for them to keep over their nucleus to keep the solar rays out. So it's kind of cool, huh?
Yeah, it is very cool.
No nevus or melanoma here. This is just normal skin.
Can you show us the melanocytes again? I think the one important thing is this is a normal melanocyte. If you have melanoma, that is this type of cell that's actually sort of
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
It's this little dark guy right here. I wish, unfortunately, I don't have this one. I can't zoom any further in on this, but that little dark round cell that doesn't look very special or specific at all. And their normal place that they live, so to speak, is along the bottom layer of the epidermis. So this is the epidermis, the bottom layer goes up and down here. And there's one of them every like 7 or 10 keratinocytes. There'll be most of the cells there are keratinocytes, and every once in a while you have a single little melanocyte there just hanging out down at the bottom. That's where they are supposed to stay, down at the bottom, right along that bottom layer. And their job is just to make that melanin pigment that gives the skin its color. So that's where they live. And then down below, you can see here, these are some small blood vessels, in case you're curious. This pink stuff here is collagen. You hear people talk about collagen a lot. It's one of the major proteins that forms the structural parts of our body, including the dermis. And then again, down below, we had some, oh, there's a hair follicle right there. These are sweat glands right here that make your sweat. And then down below, this is fat. This is what fat cells look like. And they look clear because all of the fat that's in them dissolves when we do those chemical bath steps of processing the tissue. All the fat dissolves and washes away and just leaves a little outline of their cells. So while we're here looking at skin, I thought those are things many people have heard of. There's a bigger blood vessel right here. And look, there's some red blood cells inside. Pretty cool, huh? It's never a boring job.
Very cool. So now we got a sense about what normal skin looks like. Should we flip over and switch to a slide showing melanoma in situ?